You're right, bad one.
All right, we'll stand and do the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We will move into the consensus agenda.
So I move we approve our vouchers from last month. Again, total vouchers are in the amount of $437,927.44. We had 3 payrolls last month, $597,359.86. A couple voids, which were a grand total of expenditures of $1,034,960.30, plus the minutes from our last meeting.
Second Steve's motion.
Been moved by Steve, seconded by Wes. Any discussion? All in favor? Motion passes 5-0. Patrons' comments.
I don't see any at the moment.
No? All right, we will move on to personnel.
All right, I would like to begin my section here by making the recommendation to approve Ashley Staten as payroll benefits receptionist. She has done an awesome job. She's obviously in the room, so this is Ashley Staten, just doing an awesome job. If you called Triton yesterday or today, well not yesterday, today, you would have not known a difference. You would not know that we had somebody new at the desk. We greeted them with respect, super courteous, and just has done an awesome job. Is working through her first payroll right now, and she thinks it's all square, like everybody's gonna get paid. So just doing an awesome job. Such an awesome find. Anita was so happy to know that she was passing the reins off to somebody with the heart like Ashley. So we're super excited about that for our corporation. So I recommend Ashley Staten.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Kevin, seconded by Steve. Any other discussion? All in favor? Motion passes 5-0.
Yeah, welcome aboard.
Yes.
I'm going to go ahead and lump the next two in here together. I make the recommendation to approve Gail Lemler as the full-time bus driver and Sheila Thompson as a special education bus driver. If you recall, we had 2 resignations last board meeting for that. So Laura was fortunate enough to have some individuals in the wings ready to take those positions. So happy about that.
We approve these hires. Second.
Moved by Ken, seconded by Wes. Any other discussion? All in favor? Motion passes 5-0.
Next, I'd like to make the recommendation to approve Margot Lemler as Corporation Food Service Director. If you recall, under Donna, approximately 7-8 years ago, she had kind of come up with a plan to, when Jamie was going to retire, to move somebody into the director role over both cafeterias. Just making that a little bit more efficient. Instead of both people doing that job, have one person do that job. Margot has expressed interest. She actually helped us work through the job description for that, and she's ready to get going. Nervous because it's new, but in the end, building relationships at both buildings, and I think she's going to do an awesome job at that. She's done it. It's not as new as it was then, because she was just moving into that role after Peg had left, but we're able to hire from within for that, and I think Margot is going to be an awesome choice for that.
Will she still be in charge of the elementary cafeteria?
They will have head cooks at both buildings, so they're adjusting to say who will they kind of promote from within for those hours and making sure that they know where everything goes and be there for deliveries and stuff like that. But so no, she will not, but definitely will be involved.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved by Kevin, seconded by Ken. Any other discussion? All in favor? Motion passes 5-0.
All right, this next approval, a year ago we sat in a very similar spot, having conversations to say, do we hire only an athletic director and only an assistant principal, or do we do both? And our recommendation at that time, Mr. McCann and I, and with Tom's help, is looking at the budget, just felt more comfortable doing that in a dual role last year. A lot has happened in the last year. And this is no fault of Rick at all. But in the end, financially, we're in a lot better place. I would also say student count is in a lot better place, and the need continues through our strategic planning process. It came out that we would hire another administrator at the building, trying to figure out which Rick would be best in. And that leads us to today, which I'm super, super excited to announce. Excuse me, I'm not going to announce anything. I'm going to recommend, right? I'm going to do this right. I'm going to recommend the approval of Rodney Eunice as the next athletic director of Triton School Corporation.
I move we approve that recommendation.
Second.
The move by Steve, seconded by Ken. Any other discussion? All in favor? Motion passes 5-0. Congratulations.
I think it's important. I think it's important to know that the board had requested, and I think it was our desire to involve students in some of our decisions, right? And we have a young man here tonight. I don't know if you have a speech prepared.
No, not really.
Okay, but he didn't have a speech prepared last Thursday, and I'm telling you what, he came in and talking about, Coach, you did a great job. Sorry, athletic director. Coach, you did a great job owning the room, but I'm telling you what, this guy followed you in. He will one day be a very successful young man. I would love, Mr. Cox, I would love for you to take an opportunity just to talk a little bit about your role in the process, if you would, and then just how we came to the conclusion that we came to.
Yeah, so I was tasked with I was selected with 3 other students, all of us being juniors, so we're going to be in school next year, obviously. We were tasked with the responsibility to interview 4 applicants for this job, and so this included Mr. Eunice. He was our first, and obviously he was chosen, and I'm very I approve of that, definitely. We had 2 candidates that we kind of were fond of, but Mr. Eunice took the lead because our job was to represent the student body, not just the student body as a whole, but also student athletes. This is important because student comes before the athlete. And I guess we were looking for several different things, and I don't know what the other 3 students were looking for in an AD, but I was looking for personally someone who could take the high school athlete to the next level and provide a route to college, athletic programs. So that was super important, and also me and the other 3, we did decide, and we liked the idea of having off-season workouts, and Mr. Eunice clarified after several questions different routes we could do for that, and also for other programs that would benefit students and unify them in all sports, rather than there being track people and wrestlers and football, there possibly being conflict. And that's something that Eunice definitely emphasized was we're one school, 15 sports, one team. And I definitely approve of this decision, and he definitely will represent Triton, and I think that he's proven himself an asset in the past years, and I think he'll do a good job. Good job. Thank you.
It's awesome. Our students had the opportunity to both interview and take the candidates on a tour of the building. We then debriefed with all of the students just to talk a little bit about the questions they asked, and you'd have been proud, they had notes. As I said, Elijah kind of took over and says, well, let's just talk about the candidates and let's get this thing going, right? So he took the bull by the horns, and I appreciate that, just like you did tonight. So good job. Coach Eunice, super excited to have you, sir. You owned the room, you deserved it, and there were 2 really good candidates. It was not we're going to give it to somebody. There were 2 candidates, and I think you guys said the same thing we did, but in the end, there were a lot of selling points, and we're super excited for that. Do you have anything you want to say, sir?
Thank you for the opportunity. We'll let you down.
So.
You're gonna be here for the next 20 years, right?
Are you excited too, Christy?
I recollect, we'll talk about that later. I recollect our conversation at a football game, like he's going to be chopping a lot of wood tomorrow, right? so Coach Eunice happy places out cutting wood after a tough game, but so there may be a lot of wood chopping, so keeping that house warm. So excited for you. Excited for you to join our administrative team.
Thank
So
you.
you'll be a great addition. So. All right. On not such a happy note, I'd like to next make the recommendation of the resignation of Tina Ezekiel as high school science teacher. If you recall, Tina is going for a counseling degree, 600 hours worth of clinicals, so to speak. Next year is just a tall task. So she felt it best to resign from her position as high school science teacher.
I move that we accept her resignation.
Second?
The move by Kevin, seconded by Wes. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Sorry.
Yes, motion passes 5-0.
Next item, I'd like to make the recommendation to approve the resignation of Grace Smith. We found out about this, I believe, I think it was Thursday maybe. I sent an email to you guys, and she addressed the elementary staff today, knowing that we were going to be talking about this tonight, and just expressed her gratefulness for her time here. But she will be moving to the state of Seattle. So that's excuse me, Seattle, Washington. I was thinking Washington. She's moving to Seattle, I think. So the state of Washington, I apologize. So she put in her resignation as the primary resource teacher, which has been posted.
I move we approve that.
Second.
The move by Steve, seconded by Kevin. Any other discussion? All in favor? Motion passes 5-0.
All right. At this time, I would like to, Mr. Sean Gill. He is here from Baker and Tilly. He's going to talk to us a little bit about the upcoming bond and just talk publicly about some of the structures and what he would recommend as our best. It's probably that because I have it covered.
I have a piece of paper over that.
Yeah, so it's not shining on there. It's just trying. No. Okay. Well, I guess we can do that. Is that going to cause an issue, Orion?
Can you turn the lights off up there?
Wrong ones.
Third time's a charm.
There you go. All right.
Great. Well, good evening. Thank you for the introduction and the opportunity to present to you this evening regarding some illustrative financing information that we've put together for your consideration at the request of the school corporation. My name is Sean McGill. I am from Baker Tilly. You may remember us. We were formerly H.J. Umbaugh and Associates. I had the pleasure of working with Kurt Fletcher for a number of years until his recent retirement, and still working with Tyler Level, so I'm sure many of you know. So I will just hop right into it. This chart here is a stacked bar chart that lays out the school corporation's existing debt profile going back to 2020. As you can see, the school corporation has had bond payments of right around $950,000 for the past few years. Last year, a bond rolled off, that 2010 qualified school construction bond. And then at the end of this year, the general obligation bonds of 2014 are scheduled to roll off. So what that means from a tax rate perspective, in 2020, the debt service tax rate was just shy of 30 cents. In 2021, due to some budgeting and cash requirements at the DLGF, that debt service tax rate dropped to about 23 cents, and then it came back up this year to about 27 cents. So if nothing is issued, we anticipate that based on current assessed valuations, the debt service tax rate would drop to about 19.5 cents next year. This next slide is just a numerical representation of the data behind the charts. The one thing I would point out that we are keeping our eye on is this call date of July 15, 2027. So given the interest rates between now and then, there may be some opportunity for refinancing and some interest rate savings, but that's a discussion for another day. This next slide is a calculation of general obligation bonding capacity. School corporations in Indiana are limited by the constitutional debt limit. The calculation behind that debt limit is the most recent certified net assessed valuation divided by 3 and multiplied by 2%. So what that means for Triton is Triton can take on at most general obligation debt of $2,050,000 From that, we have to subtract out what's outstanding, which currently is $715,000 on those 2014 general obligation bonds, which will be repaid at the end of this year. So currently, we have a general obligation bonding capacity of just above $1.3 million. This next slide is that same calculation, but on a rolling basis. So as you can see, as the principal is repaid, that increases, and that $1.69 million figure will show up, I believe, on the next slide. Yep. All right, so the two illustrations we've put together, I'll first explain some of the thinking behind them. At the request of Mr. McFarland, we've assumed a repayment term not to exceed just over 6 years. And then taking into account the general obligation bonding capacity and the current and perhaps potential total school corporation tax rates for 2023. So illustration A is a borrowing amount of $1.18 million. We estimate that would result in just over $1 million of proceeds available for construction, renovation, and improvement projects around the district. The estimated interest expense, assuming a very conservative 4% interest rate, yields $172,000 of interest. In this scenario, we've targeted a total tax rate of 84.1 cents. That would be reflective of the school corporation's current total tax rate. And in illustration A, we've not assumed any increase to the debt service tax rate. In illustration B, we've assumed the maximum general obligation bonding capacity after June 30, which would be that $1.69 million number. We estimate that would result in just above $1.5 million of proceeds available for construction. Estimated interest expense just shy of $250,000. Again, that's built on a assumed and hopefully conservative 4% interest rate. And in this scenario, we targeted a total tax rate of 87 cents, or about 2.9 cents higher. So that's what that estimated increase on the last line is referencing. In the first scenario, essentially a level repayment structure for 6 years and 3 months. We estimate that would keep the debt service tax rate level at just over 27 cents before final repayment in 2028. So this blue line here represents the estimated debt service tax rate. As you can see, there was that dip in 2021, came back up a little in 2022, and in this scenario, we've assumed we would keep that flat through 2027. Again, just the numerical data behind the charts. And then this takes a look at the historical total tax rates going back to 2017. So in 2017, we were at about 74 cents, went up to 80 cents in 2018, up to 88 cents in 2019 before gradually stepping down in 2020. 2021, we kind of bottomed out at about 80 cents and then came back up to the 84.1 cents where we are today. And again, this is a projection for 2023 where we would target keeping that total tax rate flat. Illustration B assumes the $1.69 million borrowing amount at the exact same repayment term. We've assumed relatively flat repayment and then stepping that debt service tax rate up just shy of 3 cents to result in a debt service tax rate of approximately 30 cents, or more importantly, a total school corporation tax rate of about 87 cents. Again, a numerical representation behind the chart. So comparatively, illustration B, we were showing about $225,000 of annual payments. Here we're showing about $325,000. This shows how that 87-cent tax rate stacks up historically. So you can see not really out of range. We're in between both our upper and lower bounds. And then this chart I found particularly interesting. This compares total school corporation tax rates in 2022 of school corporations in Fulton, Kosciuszko, Marshall, and Stark counties. So this dark blue here represents Triton School Corporation's current rate at 84.1 cents. As you can see, fifth lowest in the surrounding counties. Keeping that total tax rate steady at 84.1 cents, obviously, in relation to the other school corporations wouldn't change much. And then interestingly enough, increasing it to 87 cents would still mean Triton School Corporation would have the fifth lowest total school tax rate in the surrounding counties. Those lines there, the green line here represents the median total school tax rate in Indiana in 2022, and that's just over $1.04. And then the blue line above that represents the average, which is just above $1.10. So school corporations in the surrounding counties close to the median, but I would say generally shy of the average. This chart lays out the estimated taxpayer impact. Illustration A, no tax rate increase, obviously going to be straight zeros down in relation to what you're paying today. Illustration B, those lines represent the estimated tax impact of increasing the total school tax rate by just shy of 3 cents. The lines that I would draw your attention to are this $119,400 figure. That is the median gross assessed value of a home in Bourbon, Indiana. As we all know, taxes are not paid on the gross assessed, or I should be saying the market value of a home. Homesteads are subject to a number of deductions. So after we take out the standard deduction, the supplemental homestead deduction, and we've also assumed a mortgage deduction, we arrive at a net assessed valuation, which is the value upon which taxes are paid, of just over $45,000. So increasing the total school tax rate by 2.9 cents means the median homestead value would incur an increase of about $1.10 a month, or $13.20 a year. And then we also have some multipliers on the bottom. So for $100,000 of commercial or rental property, essentially those properties subject to the 3% tax cap, let's see about a $2.43 increase per month, or $29.10 per year. And then 100 acres of agricultural land would see an increase of about $3.64 a month, or $43.65 a year. This information is at this time strictly informational only. The board is not going to be asked to take any action this evening. If there's any questions I can answer, I'd be happy to do so. Otherwise, I believe a preliminary bond resolution will be prepared for the meeting in June, and the board will be asked to consider that then.
So you say 4% is a very conservative rate?
We certainly hope so, especially given the 6-year term. Currently, we're seeing just above 3% on a 20-year bondage.
That's my next question. If we were to go today, what rate would we potentially get?
Certainly below 3%.
Any questions for Sean? Sean, thank you for understanding all of that and helping us through that. That's greatly appreciated, but I think it's a clear picture of both capacity and just giving us the opportunity to continuously improve our facilities and those type of things as we move forward. So, any other questions for Sean?
Thank you. My pleasure.
Thank you, Sean. Well done. That being said, I would ask permission to proceed with the bond illustration 2 as we continue to move forward.
And we grant that permission.
I said it first.
You said first?
Second.
Okay, so we're gonna go with Ken and Wes. Any other discussion? All in favor? Motion passes 5-0.
All right. Thank you again, Sean. Appreciate it. Next item, I'd like to recommend the approval of the elementary math textbook license adoption. We've gone through the process. If you have any questions about that, Melissa will be able to kind of give you the the ins and the outs of that. But textbook adoptions have taken on a lot of scrutiny over the last 6, 8, maybe 10 months. So just know that there was a committee of teachers, obviously a board member, parents have the opportunity to look at those textbooks as well. But we are recommending tonight math textbook adoption for McGraw-Hill.
I saw this. It's split. So like K-8 is going McGraw-Hill, and then high school math courses are sticking with what they have, and we're just continuing that digital license piece.
That is not here.
That's right.
And I move we approve. Second.
Been moved by Steve, seconded by Kevin. Any other discussion? All in favor? Motion passes 5-0.
Thanks for your time. Meeting that.
And all the teachers that,
Teachers and stuff, that was, I know firsthand because I remember
Yes.
the process.
Thanks for letting me go to those meetings, Terry.
you're welcome.
You're our math expert.
Considering the fact you were a math teacher.
All right, next item, I'd like to recommend the approval of the elementary cafe flooring replacement. I think Tom sent that information today, finalizing that, or accepting that quote for Floor Care Concepts. We did get word that they will not be able to, providing you approve this, they will not be able to fit us in. It's approximately a 2 to 3 week process until next summer. So we'll be the first one on the list for next summer unless somebody happens to drop out and they feel like they can get that in. But with summer school, obviously a pretty tight turnaround here in the next couple months, so likely that's going to be right away at the last bit of June or July next summer.
It'll hold till then?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Scary.
Yeah.
We'll take it.
Yeah.
You'll check on that, right, Tom? That bid will hold till
Oh,
next
the
summer?
bid will hold.
Yeah.
Sorry, I thought you meant the floor.
Oh,
Yeah, the floor's good. I don't know about the bid.
Talking to him today, once this is approved and finalized, they'll work on securing the materials, which we'll pay for. And once they provide that they have the material and proof of insurance, we'll make the payment and that they'll hold the materials and the labor costs will hold as well. So,
okay.
yeah.
Good question. So, are they still gonna paint, like
Yes.
the basketball lines and stuff on it? Do we use that?
Very rarely,
Yes, that's why I was asking you.
or maybe never.
So if it's
Oh,
Yes,
Christine's-
Mrs. Cook?
if it's an
Inside recess.
Yeah, and preschool uses it, and for, the lines are, helpful.
oh, okay.
We don't have very many practices over there.
We don't have practices, legit stuff, but we
Are these
do
lines
use
of the
them.
pool?
Yeah, I just wondered if it would be good, because I remember when people were bringing up that when we built, the old gym thing, well, what were we?
That's a fair question.
But you're saying those lines are used for,
They are used for different activities, preschool uses them every day, I'll say that.
Yeah.
Yes.
But they're not strictly basketball. You're shaking your head.
There's no practices, that's what we
There's,
have to be.
yeah, there's no practice.
Colin, you had a comment?
No, in the quote is repainting it. We can repaint it and put whatever we want and whatever we need on there. Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Four square.
okay.
Pickleball.
I move we approve. Second.
Moved by Steve, second by Kevin. Any other discussion? All in favor? Motion passes 5-0. On to superintendent's report.
All right, talking a little bit about continuous improvement, sticking with our core values. As we have heard earlier in the meeting, there's a plan to continue to improve many areas. I do want to just quickly review some of the plans on that. As far as what will the bond be used for. So high school electrical is in major need of upgrades of the boxes throughout. This was found when we were in the process of building the TAC, that one of the boxes did not function properly. So it really alerted us to some of the other things that need to be done. Obviously 1968 construction, we can imagine that those boxes definitely need upgraded. Auditorium will receive a lot of attention, both the lights, the sound, the AV, and cosmetically. So once again, we'll narrow down a plan as we get closer to that bond issuance and exactly what those needs are. High school office, possibly in the elementary office, door 4 is going to need some work with some settling and some things going on with the door frames there. So that is part of that as well. And the possibility of a band tower. So some of these items, depending on what our capacity is by the time we prioritize those, we definitely have a list of things that we can knock out and continue to improve. So I just wanted to share some of those. Our spring sport team deserve an award for being most flexible this year. There's great weather tonight to see a lot of teams playing. I want to thank you to our coaches and athletes for their time and effort to continuously improve. Even when it's not ideal conditions or desired outcomes. Congratulations goes out to Vincent Prater on his first record-breaking performance on April 28th. I want to say that he's broken that since, but that was the first time that had been broken since 1999, which was Triton Hall of Famer Matt Anders, I believe. So pretty awesome feat. Talking about shared leadership, I have to highlight Elijah Cox, Anna McIntyre, Lily Stetzel, and Kenzie Adkins. On Thursday of last week, a student-led committee helped teachers, coaches, and administrative committee come to the consensus of our next athletic director of Triton School Corporation. The students represented well and gave tremendous input, giving the candidate a tour, asking questions on their own. We had desire and hope as a board and as an administrative team that our scholars would be more involved in giving feedback, making suggestions, and helping us improve our corporation. And this was an example of this very thing happening. So super proud of you guys. Thank you, Elijah, for even taking the time tonight. Social responsibility. Last week was Teacher Appreciation Week, National Cafeteria Workers Day, National Nurses Day, and all of those things to remind us just how many people we need to run a successful day. So I just want to thank our teachers again. We ended the week with a little Chick-fil-A, and I know that that's not even close to how we say thank you, but in the end, hopefully it was just a little treat for that. So the National Honor Society, ACEs, tried to do something every day for our teachers last week just to say thank you and just show their appreciation in small little ways that they could do that. So I just want to thank our staff, so staff appreciation. I want to congratulate the 8 students from Triton School Corporation who graduated from the 29th class of Kosciuszko Youth Leadership Academy. 8 of 32 students represented their family, school, and community with distinction. So Triton had 8 of the 32, so that's pretty awesome when you think of all the schools in Kosciuszko County. I apologize, Nate, if I'm stealing your thunder here.
Just getting shorter.
All right. Accountability over the last several weeks, scholars have taken, staff has administered, and our community has supported our scholars while they're taking iLearn. There are still a couple of those assessments left throughout this week, but I just want to thank our teachers and students for giving their best. This is always a tough 2 weeks each spring, and I commend our staff and students for giving their best. High expectations. Congratulations to our work-based learning and career and technical education students who were honored on April 29th. We had a banquet for them. This is the first time that we had done that, and I believe Jen Felke said that we were the only school in Marshall County that is doing that right now. So kudos to Sarah Arvison, Ashley Faulkner, Kim Stetzel, Blake Shorey, and Nate McCann for their vision of this evening and putting the time and effort in to make this happen. I also want to thank Marcille for providing some nice snacks for the attendees. I'm thankful for Samantha Phoenix in the Triton Performing Arts Department on their successful completion of Alice in Wonderland. They did a wonderful job. On April 29th, Friday, April 29th, 16 Triton student athletes attended the Central Indiana Student Athlete Conference. During the conference, our scholars had the opportunity to learn about the mindset of a champion from author Travis Doherty. Danita Walters shared her inspiration story of overcoming adversity and moving forward to accomplish her goals. And then Purdue head women's basketball coach Katie Gerald, I believe, engaged students in a question and answer time. Dr. Scott Edwards shared the necessity of holding your team to the highest standard and how to instill those standards in your team. Some inspirational quotes that came from that night. I love quotes. Travis Doherty said, "Champions aren't champions because they win. They are champions because of who they are." And then the women's basketball coach, Purdue women's basketball coach, says you don't need 5-star players to win, you need 5-star people. So just what I think we truly have. And as we talk about that, I think of Elijah just a couple weeks ago, just time and effort. I asked him a question, why are you not playing football? I tried, coach. And he said, because I got to focus. I got to focus on essentially what I do best, right? I got to focus on what I do best. So he's wrestling, I don't know how many weekends, but a couple weekends ago, got first place, 28-0, points-wise, right? I think something like that. So I think we can get down, all of us, with all the things in the world that are going wrong. But I think Tom asked me a question that he learned at IASBO this week. And he says, what's going well, right? Is that what you asked me?
Yeah, tell me something positive.
Yeah, tell me something positive. It's amazing how people start squirming a little bit when you ask them to tell me something positive. But in the end, just a lot of positive things in a time of year, coming off of COVID and just kind of cruddy weather in a time of year where we're just trying to finish the year. There are a ton of positive things happening if we just take the time to look at it. Last but not least, alignment. Over the last 2 weeks, 20 scholars were awarded Trojan Pride t-shirts. And so just continuing to live out what we would consider our core values of personal responsibility, respect, integrity, determination, enthusiasm, and then the Trojan way, trying our best, even in the midst of crazy, trying to think of others over self. And sometimes that's tough. I will tell you the quote of Thursday that I loved, and I've shared this with our administrative team today. Culture is shaped by the worst thing the leader is willing to tolerate. That was actually shared in one of our interviews on Thursday, and it's one of those things where I think we can learn something from every interaction that we have, and this came from one of the other candidates, but I hope we as a corporation can say that and own it, and that really leads to the continuous improvement. So I'm going to say that one more time. Culture is shaped by the worst thing the leader is willing to tolerate. And so we've had to show a lot of grace, we've had to show a lot of courage throughout the pandemic and so on, but in the end, we need to get back to just kind of putting things through that filter to say, what are we willing to tolerate? And that's going to become our culture. If we want that to continue to thrive, we're going to have to continue to really monitor that on a daily basis. So that's all I got. I'll be happy to take any questions. Brandon Haynes says, congratulations, Rodney. Eunice on AD.
Okay, moving on to building reports.
Well, let me tell you what's going well at the elementary. First of all, as you know, we had a pretty successful kindergarten roundup and followed by preschool enrollment night. Since then, we've had more students who have come in and enrolled, looking at our expectations, and we're expecting 2 groups. We are now full for our preschool. I'm sure we'll have more that apply later. Our kindergarten is rounding up to almost 70 students, and we expect more before when we get to registration. We always do have. So I think those are really good things to be looking forward to. Our preschool also passed its last inspection, which renewed our license for the next year. And both of our inspections then will allow us to continue our LLEP status, which is our legally licensed exempt preschool status, and also our paths to quality rating, which will enable us to help families that can afford that preschool. So I think that's a great thing. We will be hiring, as you know, starting the process of filling those roles and finding places for those extra classes as well as we move into the summer. I'd also like to thank Melissa for her help and just guidance in all of the iLearn assessments that we've had to do. We're finishing up, I think there's 4 left on the list? 3 left on the list of things to finish this week, students that have been absent. But I think that's looking good. I feel like our teachers have felt prepared to give it, even though we never feel like there's enough minutes in the instructional day to get in what we want to. I just appreciate those efforts. Plus all the scheduling, the training that goes into it, and then our year-end assessments continue to go on where our teachers are finding out how much students have grown since August, and we're having some of those conversations and celebrations, hopefully with our kids and in classes. I'd also like to, we have a group now that will be interviewing for the counseling position, and we have some applicants for that. So we will be looking at hopefully scheduling something next week and for those to happen. In the meantime, Fort County has been helping us out a lot with, we have a lot of kids who have been referred, counselors, skills coaches, and so forth have been coming in to serve students who have qualified during the school day. But we also have some lunch bunch groups going on and that are helping students in the areas of emotional regulation, self-regulation, and emotion management. We have a lot of things coming up on the calendar. I'm not going to go over them all in detail, but tomorrow the FFA Ag Department is sponsoring or hosting a Ag Day for our pre-K through fourth grade students. So they'll be coming over to the high school. Hopefully that's a learning experience for both our students and the junior, senior high school groups. We also have next week lots of things. Fifth grade will be doing Camp Amigos coming to us, and that will be happening at the Potawatomi Wildlife Park. So that's kind of a best of both worlds, really, being able to do something locally, but having the expertise of those here. So it's going to be a 2-day thing. Last year we experimented with the 1 day, and so now we're doing a 2-day. Not an overnighter, but still 2 full days of work. We have numerous other trips planned, going to zoos, Forks of the Wabash, and so forth coming up. We also have push carts coming up May 20th, where our at the Batchett Center, where our 6th graders get to try their hand at selling goods and running a business, and that's always a great economic kind of and creative endeavor for them. And of course, a lot of fun for the rest of the kids who get to bring their quarters and dollars and spend it on delicious junk food and other games and toys. We will be having 6th grade recognition coming up May 26th, and same day, and that's in the morning. Parents are invited. May 26th in the evening, we have our preschool graduation. Those are all fun times, followed by our all-school field day. I do want to add that we are in plans with summer school. We have right now 86 students in grades coming into kindergarten and all the way to exiting 3rd grade. So, and we have a full staff of about 10 teachers and instructional assistants who will be working with them through June 24th. So I appreciate them giving a part of their summer when I know we're all looking forward to a little bit of a break and they could be doing other things, but I appreciate them giving their time to the students of Triton to help fill in some of those gaps. If there are no more questions.
Okay, for the junior, senior high school. So 2 weeks ago, we finished up the language arts portion of iLearn. Mr. Riffle talked about some of these items last week, and then even this week, we're finishing up the math portion. So just want to thank the teachers and students for, those are not fun days, they're long days, but they're also important for our school. So appreciate their sticking with that. We are also starting to take a look at NWEA this week, and that is our benchmark test that we do throughout the year just to see how students are progressing in math and language arts. So we're moving right into that. On April 20th, we hosted the Hoosier North Athletic Conference math contest. So we had quite a few students that ranked in the top 10 in their category, and our geometry team was first in the school. So congratulations to Mrs. Hammond and her students for that. It's a great accomplishment. We had approximately 10 students go with Mr. Young to the DC trip a few weeks ago. And this trip was a little different than what it has been in recent years, as they went to Chicago and they flew to DC, which allowed them more time in DC. It might have posed some more challenges as far as getting to the plane and when that was, because they were traveling at like 4 in the morning. So I just really appreciate Mr. Young for taking that on and providing that opportunity for our students. I will also say that we are looking at next year making it a junior-senior trip and then doing this every other year. Part of the reason for that is the more students we have go, the less it is per student. And if we can have it a junior-senior trip, that cost may come down for our students and make it more of an option for some of them. So we are taking a look at that as a possibility. Let's see here. The Kosciuszko Youth Leadership Academy, Mr. Riffle touched on this. So May 4th, we had 8 students out of the 32 that he was referencing. And I just want to mention their names. I don't believe you did, so I thought I would do that real quick. So Caitlin Jackson, Anna Limler, Cole Gard, Olivia Shively, Kinsey Atkins, Trent Conley, Ava Brandon, and Morgan Feldman represented Triton really well. I attended the banquet, and it was neat to see them and the impact they're making in our community and surrounding communities, and just congratulations to them. I'd like to congratulate William Weissert. He was invited to participate in the Cavaliers Drum and Bugle Corps. They're stationed in Illinois, and that's a pretty prestigious honor to have. So just congratulations to him. This summer he's going to go and train and practice with this group, and then they're going to travel the country at different contests and performances. So great experience for him, and just excited for him. We are currently reviewing the handbook. We have a committee that's reviewing that handbook, and it's our hope to bring that to the June board meeting for you guys to take a look at and ask questions and get that approved here some point soon. A little bit of a scheduling update. So currently we have all students scheduled. We think we have a master schedule flushed out. We do have a few wrinkles in it that we're trying to work through, but I think we have a master schedule ready to go for next year, and that's something that we're going to start sharing with our teachers. So just thanks to the counselors for just getting an early start on that and making that happen this soon. Some upcoming dates, have quite a few here. So this Friday we have Trojan Wars for junior and senior high students. 6th grade tours, May 17th, 18th, and 19th. So we'll be bringing one class over per day, and they'll be touring the buildings. They'll just get to experience maybe a little bit what it looks like to be a junior high student. That maybe will ease some of their fears as they get ready to make the trek over. May 17th, we have a junior high band and choir concert. May 19th, high school band and choir concert. We have our junior high incentive trip on May 20th. So we're going to take students that met certain criteria to see a movie during the school day as just kind of a reward for their hard work. That hasn't been done for a few years, so pretty excited to be able to reward our students for their work. High School Academic Awards Banquet is also on May 20th. And let's see here. And that's the banquet at night, just so you're aware of that. On May 25th, we have the High School Academic Awards during the school day. We're going to follow that with our senior walk, where our seniors go over in their cap and gown and they walk through the elementary and get to show off for the elementary students. And following that, and try and make all that coordinate, we're going to try and have our senior picture at that time as well. So let's see here. Senior cookout on May 26th. Junior high academic awards on May 31st. We're going to try and fit that into our final exam schedule. Let's see here. Just want to congratulate Mr. Eunice. Again, I know this has been said, but he did an amazing job in the interview, and there was competition. We had another candidate that would have been a great candidate, but Mr. Eunice took charge of that interview. He commanded the attention of the committee. He has the relationship, ability to build relationships with our kids, and that's what we need. So just congratulations to Rodney, and look forward to working with you. He earned that, definitely earned it. And the last thing is just, and Mr. Riffle said this too, but just thanks to our teachers and our teacher aides and cafeteria workers and nurses. We have a lot of amazing staff that do a lot of amazing things for our kids, and it just takes all of us working together. So I just really appreciative of our staff. So thank you. Any questions?
Thank you. If there's no other business, we'll move to adjourn at 7:49. Whoops. Oh, sorry.
I have to say something tonight. I want to also congratulate Mr. Eunice. I had him as a teacher in high school, and I really enjoyed having him in high school, and I think he's going to be a great leader at that position. And Jeremy didn't mention it, but I don't think he did. The boys golf team won the Marshall County meet on Saturday. Yeah, and that was Cole McKinney. He was also the medalist. Braylon Wareham, Chandler Westaver, Gavin Butler, Bruce Johnson. And I've been pretty impressed with their scores. I've been keeping track of them over the season, and they've consistently brought their team score down every match. So I want to congratulate them on that.
Thank you for sharing that. Our baseball team was up 7-0 before the board meeting.
I think they won.
Awesome.
All right, if there's no other discussion, we will move to adjourn at 7:50.